Hey everybody, this is Jeremy from Gnomebot Studios. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to go over some combat examples for Grit Fantasy RPG. And today I have Ryan James, the editor of Grit Fantasy, to join us.
What is happening? I'm super excited about this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So let's move into the first scene here. And we are on Roll20. I am using the tokens from Grit Fantasy RPG, the ones that I put out on Drive-Through RPG. And the maps today will be from 2 Minute Tabletop. Just to let you guys know that.
They put beautiful maps out.
Oh
I
yeah.
have. I think they have a Patreon, right?
Yes, yeah. Website you can buy them piece by piece if you wanted to. I think you can buy giant packs of them. I think that's what you did.
Yep.
Maybe.
I feel like I have hundreds of maps from them, and it was like $20.
Wow, that's great.
It's
That's
very
great.
cool. Yeah, it's very cool.
They just have really nice lighting and just beautifully done. I think. So anyway, yeah, and then the tokens are again for my digital token set on Drive-Through RPG. It's pretty much I've taken every single listed monster and lineage and put them in one token set for you. So pretty convenient. So today, I mean, this is kind of a follow-up from my last video on the basic combat. So today, Ryan's going to be playing the heroes. In this scenario, they're going to be just a couple standard soldiers. And you've got a group of goblins that have kind of taken over. What would that be? A cargo little
Yeah, like a
uh,
cart, some sort of
a
cart.
cart. Yeah, there's a couple wilderns tied up in there, and they're sent out to like inspect and see what they can do about it. So I guess we just start. You're going to notice on the screen on the left side. This is kind of how I set up my Roll20 games for Grit. So on the left column, yeah, I'll have the like a larger token set up for the characters, and then focus dice underneath them. I found that this was like the best way to kind of keep track of the focus dice. So once somebody uses them, I just take them off, kind of take them off screen to keep track of them. It's more for my sake of remembering, because sometimes if you've got multiple players, it's hard to keep track of that. Much easier when you're in person, I'm sure, because it's just put the
Right, you
dice in a
roll it and
different
get rid
place,
of it.
right? Another thing too, I wanted to show you guys is the character sheet. Like Ryan, if you don't mind pulling up one of those sheets.
I sure will. There is here's one of the soldiers right here. I don't know if you can see that, Jeremy.
No, I can't.
Okay.
What's up?
Yeah, it's on the screen here. So if you look at this character sheet, this is a character sheet in Roll20. I think eventually Jeremy's idea is to get the actual Grit character sheet to be uh
Right, right.
programmed in here, but this is just kind of like a thing to get you started. You can see you got all the pertinent information up here. The player name and the character name, we're just calling these soldiers. The lineages are humans. You can see their ability is the rigorous training, which they have a focus die pool of D6, D8, and D10. You might have noticed when Jeremy was talking about the focus dice pool over here to the left, you probably saw a 6, 8, and 10, and we're like, well, wait a minute, isn't the focus dice pool D4, D6, D8? But for the humans, they don't get a D4, and instead they get a D10, which is a really, really cool ability. You can see right below the character sheet here, or the character art here, is their grit. All characters start with 10 grit. And soak, which is, from watching previous videos, and if you have the book, that it's basically your armor. So these humans have a soak of 2, and that's because they have both. If you look down here at gear, they have both a light armor, which gives them soak 1, and they have a shield, which gives them soak 1. Right below that are our aspects. These are the stats that I'm going to be rolling against when I'm, taking actions throughout the game. Jeremy's going to have me roll dice based on these aspect values, and I will apply these pluses or negatives to my roll to give me an ultimate final tally roll that will either succeed or fail. And you can see might, prowess, and valor are +1, and insight and command are -1. Now, typically, you get 4 to be in the positive, and you have to have -2 split either between one or two things. You'll see here that I have 3 that are +1 and 2 that are -1, and that's because I have light armor. And while the light armor gives me a soak of 1, it also gives me a prowess penalty of 1. So we have deducted that 1 from my prowess, which was 2, to give me a prowess of only 1. That's why you only see 3 positive aspect values here. I also start with a longsword, which is good. Nice melee weapon for a good old fashioned soldier to have, and a dagger for some maybe covert stuff if I feel the need. So that is the basics of what I have on my character sheet for the soldiers. Both soldiers have the same stats for the purposes, and the same gear for the purposes of this example.
And in this example, you'll be able to treat these as two separate characters. It's not like your turn and my turn kind of thing. This will be just like there's two players here, right? So
Yeah, very cool.
so the GM can kind of like go between that. You'll see how that works out. So anyway, I'm going to say that these goblins here are not aware of the soldiers coming up on them. So I'm going to give the first turn to you, Ryan, if you'd like to give it a go.
Yeah, sounds perfect. Okay. So I feel like these guys would have been sent on to maybe investigate, some disturbances happening along the forest road. And, they're just kind of like maybe creeping through the forest here as they can no doubt hear some nefarious activities going on. Do they spot? I can see the fire, I would guess, going on over there.
Yes, you can see the fire and some kind of shadowy silhouettes around it.
Okay, but I
from
don't
where
see
you
what
are.
they are. Do I hear anything?
If you'd like, give me an insight check.
Sure.
It'd be an
Okay.
average roll to beat a 6.
So these soldiers have an insight of -1. So I have on roll 20, you can see at the bottom here. This also happened in Jeremy's last video. There were macros that you can use on roll 20, which are really, really cool. Over on the right banner here, there's a macros area. And there's a bunch of different ways you can Google to try to get macros in here, but we like to keep all of the D12 plus 1, plus 2, sometimes even plus 3, and then -1, -2s, and then the focus dice, just so it's easy to quickly just click a button and it applies the modifier. Otherwise, you could easily just go to the dice on the left, roll a D12, and then add the modifier yourself. But the
Right.
macros work really, really well. So
And
there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to add that on my end, I have more than most players would need. I have an extra set of dice or macros for the dice, including the mighty D4, and I've got a D20, D10, D8, D16, and D4 as well. So
For sure.
um,
Okay, so I was gonna have so we're talking this guy here. You want him to roll insight. So my
right,
soldier's insight here is -1. So I'm gonna roll my D12 -1. I'm looking to beat a 6, I believe. Is that correct, Jeremy? Are
right,
you setting this at normal? You can
yep,
usually assume that unless the GM tells you otherwise, the difficulty for a static roll is going to be normal, which is beat a 6. That's going to be the most majority of the rolls that you make. So unless
right,
Jeremy were to have said, it's really quiet out, maybe they don't see you, they're just kind of like still, maybe he would set it to easy, then he would tell me that, right? He would say, okay, this is going to be easy. Otherwise, I should just pretty much know I have to beat a 6. So let's roll
right,
this D12
right.
-1.
Oh wow, yeah. So, so your total is 11. The nice thing about the macro is it totals everything up for you. So yes, you are able to discern the exact number of these little creatures. They appear to be goblins. 5 of them are around the fire, kind of snickering and bickering to each other, wondering if they're going to cook these wildlings now or later. And there's another one just poking at the tied up wildlings like on the cart.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
so I feel like this guy would kind of turn to his buddy and, just be like, "Hey, I can see all 6 of them there. They've got them. We gotta try to break them up somehow." And this guy maybe is like his ward, and he's just kind of like, "All right, I think I have an idea." And he looks down. Does he see any? There's got to be some sort of rocks and stuff around. Is that
Oh,
is
it's
that
very rocky, and
okay? So what he's gonna do is he's gonna pick up a rock. This guy here, he's gonna pick up a rock and he's gonna like throw it kind of into the foliage here, like to try to make some noise, to maybe potentially distract some of these guys or draw them away.
all right. So what I'm gonna do with that is I'm just gonna make I'll make an insight check for the group here.
Okay. You'll see all the rolls coming up and the right side of the screen. Here you can see right now he just rolled a 5.
Yes, and so against an average target number, you have to beat a 6. So they are just blissfully unaware of any kind of rock hitting into the woods. They're too focused on what their arguments.
Gotcha. So okay, he's just like, oh, it was worth a shot there, mate. Okay, so they're going to kind of approach, but they're going to kind of try to do it, maybe like in a flanking pattern. So this guy here, this green guy, is going to take his movement. He's going to kind of try to go into the trees here. And I would assume if the rock didn't make noise, maybe he wouldn't make noise just wandering, or is that a different kind of a sound?
I'm going to say that you're going to need to make a prowess roll to do stealth, but will be easy. So you have to beat a 3.
Okay, great. So I get +1 for my roll. I rolled a 12. Uh-oh, I'm wasting my good rolls at the beginning here. That's no good.
But yeah, you masterfully walk through these woods with absolutely no sound. Even your buddy doesn't really notice you, and you could probably make it a little further than that with your move. Probably
Okay.
about here.
Right there. Okay. Yeah, I'll say I'm about there. This guy was in the middle of talking to his friend, and like you said, he didn't even realize he left. He's like, "All right, so I think I'm gonna hello? Where'd you go?" And he's like, okay, it's time to enact the plan. So he's going to come this way over here, and he's gonna like throw his hands up in the air and be like, hey you, come get me, I'm over here,
Oh
and
man,
just try to get their attention.
they're definitely going to go for that. But I'm going to see how many of them really react to you.
Sure.
Looks like only one. I'm going to say probably the nearest one to you.
Hey, you stupid idiot, get over here.
Looks like we have trouble. I thought we might. He kind of goes up here, stands up on this rock, and he's like, "Hey, we don't want any trouble. You go away, or you're gonna have trouble yourself."
All right, and he's like, release the prisoners or you'll have trouble of your own.
Never.
And then I think that's my turn for both of them.
Okay. Well, since this guy kind of reacted a bit, he's gonna yell back to his buddies, and I'm gonna just say this guy's the boss, so I'm gonna mark him.
Okay.
So these guys are gonna rush out, pull out their little daggers, and skitter over here. They're a little bit out of range of their dagger throws, so they're going to stay where they're at. This guy is he's going to try to hide.
Weirdly, Jeremy, just to take us out of the game, every time you move a monster, it's like creating a duplicate.
Yeah, that is weird.
Pretty weird. So that doesn't typically happen. Oh, are you on the map layer?
There's a duplicate on the map layer.
Ah, gotcha.
See, roll 20 is always fun, isn't it?
Always fun.
There's always something. There's always something I do.
Maybe they're just duplicating goblins. I don't know. It's just
I should just roll with it, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So this guy just kind of disappears. And this one, he's going to do the same. He's going to try to hide, but he goes behind one of these little trees, but you could see his silhouette behind it.
Okay.
And this guy's too busy. He's just prodding his buddies underneath.
They were having relations right in front of those two
duplicating goblins. Yeah, he's got this stick. He's just poking at the wildlings fat morsels. This will be a good dinner. So that'll be my turn. They're not going to really engage in any attacking this round. So
Okay.
and since I was the last to act, you can go for it.
Yep, that puts me to go first. Okay. So these three guys, Jeremy, are kind of headed my way, it's safe to say.
Yes, they're heading in the direction of this fella here.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's like like flailing his hands in the air, and he's like, making like obscene gestures at him, like, come and get me, come and get me, come and get me. And then he starts to run off kind of this way back into the tree line. But he's going to he's gonna basically take a sprint action to run back there.
Okay.
So that's gonna be his entire turn.
Right.
Again, still just like, come and get me.
All right. And for clarity, sprint action takes up your whole turn, but you can double short move basically. So
Right. You know what? Actually, I'm glad we did talk about that. But can I? No, that's fine. I'll do that. I will do that. That's
okay.
perfect. I will do that. Yeah, I want to sprint. Okay, so it's fair to say these guys are kind of glued onto. At least they still don't see Soldier 1 here.
No, they don't. Yeah, they're unaware.
So what Soldier 1's going to do is he's going to, just barely, because how far is he, would you say, from this guy?
I would say you could do that in a short move.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to throw my dagger at him, as stealthily as I can. Just kind of like a.
All right, sounds good. Go for it. He's completely unaware of you, so this will be like a surprise attack, so it'll be easy.
Awesome. Okay, so this is a prowess roll. So he like takes his little dagger out, and you just hear like a almost like a shuriken kind of thing as he rolls in that.
Oh
one.
no! Yes, and you hear it like it clangs against the side of a tree, and like the blade breaks right off of it.
He like
falls to the ground.
He like adjusts his helmet, and he just now realizes that he was only looking out of one of his eyes, and he's like, right, depth perception. Oops.
This guy's at what? What's that? He looks back. I'm gonna see if he can see you.
Okay.
He does. Yes.
Shit.
Okay. So. Oh, go.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna move. That's all.
Yeah, go for it. Do your move.
So, if that guy can see me, yeah, it was specifically this guy, right? So I'm just gonna kind of like get a little deeper into the woods.
Okay.
Hopefully that's the trees are a little more dense there, and I'm gonna just try to, he saw where I was going, but I'm still gonna kind of like hide behind a.
You got some cover.
Yeah. And
right.
that'll be my turn.
All right, so it's all me. So I'm gonna take this guy. He's just gonna kind of step a little bit further, and he's gonna try to throw a dagger at you, but it's going to be hard because it's like through the.
Yeah, I'm
trees.
like in cover. Sure.
Yeah.
And since I have already taken my action, I do not have the option to counterattack or dodge or anything. So I've taken my turn trying to throw that dagger and moving. So I'm just kind of, luckily, that's why I decided to go in the cover of the trees, because I knew I was not going to be able to defend myself against what was happening next.
Right. Smart move.
But oh boy.
He does hard. You have to beat a 9, so he does 1 point of damage to you.
Which luckily, my soaks up, so I have 2 soak. So he deals 1 damage, but it just like pings off of my helmet. Although he does probably hear the ping.
Yeah, and maybe the others might too. I'm gonna roll for this guy here.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a mighty D4 just to see, like 1 or 2. He's gonna be interested in this guy up here.
Sure.
Yeah. So he hears his buddy throwing stuff, and he's like, "What is that?" And he just like runs. He's just gonna run in. He's gonna take his turn just to run into the woods. These guys are going to. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna mighty D for this again. So 1 or 2, they're gonna fall for your employees. I'm gonna do all 3.
Okay.
So 2 of them, these guys, they start running after you.
Yeah, chasing this guy for sure.
This guy, I think he's going to maybe follow this stuff over here. So
Sure.
I think he's close enough. He's gonna get to you and like try to make a hit on you.
Okay. Am I flanked because of the other guy, or does the other guy even know he's next to me?
He is not aware of you, so this is not flanked.
Okay.
So he's gonna just take a swing with his dagger, which does not do any damage. It was an average roll. So
I do like a little side swipe, like whoa, it just goes like right next to me.
he kind of appears from underneath the brush and like stabs at you, but you like move out of the way real quick.
Yeah.
So, and these guys, they're just going to start trying to yell, and you could see them struggling to get out of their ropes. And that's the end of the round. So we go into a new one, and I was the last to act again. So go for it. And this is kind of what happens with a one player. If you have one player, it's usually just a trade-off between the GM and player. It could be a little bit more mixed if you're playing two characters that are separate. But if it's just one character and the GM, it's usually just that trade-off, back and forth kind of thing.
For sure. Okay. Well, that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is this guy here is going to take his melee sword out, or his long sword, sorry. And he's going to swipe back right at this guy. So in, real time thing, he like dodged out of the way, like, whoa, and now he's going to like brandish his sword and try to stab him back and skewer him right in the belly.
All right. He's going to, take his dagger and he's going to counterattack with that.
Sure. Perfect. Okay. So this is a might roll. So I'm getting +1. So beat a 9.
Got a 7.
Awesome. I'm also going to throw a D6 focus die on this.
Nice.
So how this works is any aspect roll that you use, which I just used a might roll, you can apply a focus dice to boost that roll. So you can see if you're looking on the right side, remember that's where all the rolls are happening. I rolled a 9, Jeremy rolled a 7. So the difference between that is the damage I deal. So I've dealt 2 damage to this goblin, but I would like to, as my sword is in him, like lift it up, like and slice him. And let's see what So I'm going to throw a D6 focus die and add 4 more points of damage on.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you stab him through, and just your blade goes up to his chest, and he goes limp and falls off your blade.
Did the other goblins see that? If so, I want to taunt. He didn't see it. Okay, I was going to taunt him, kind of show him it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move. So I would like to kind of move down to this stump.
Okay.
Can I get there, you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, as he does, he's going to like hold his goblin bloodied sword in his hand, and just yell like, come taste my metal, and just like lick the blood off his sword. And really he's like, oh my God, that was so gross. But he's really hoping it's gonna help draw some people maybe away. And so that's his turn. So as Jeremy did just say, typically it's, player goes, GM goes. This could be an example where the GM could take their turn.
And I will. And
he will.
All right. So yeah, the goblin's like, you killed Freddy. And he just runs out of the brush.
Freddy tasted delicious.
Takes his dagger, stabs you in the leg.
Let's see how you taste.
And he does terribly. And he drops his blade onto the ground. It doesn't do anything at all.
And as he does, I drip some blood from my sword that was Freddy onto his face to just try to really stick it to him.
This guy appears from the darkness. Freddy's dead. He takes his dagger, throws it at the soldier, and rolls an 11.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so he does, let's see what that is.
So 3 points of damage.
Yeah, because you have soak, 2 soak.
Because I have 2 soak. So, where'd you come from?
Yeah, lands square at you. This guy, he's, I'm I'm going to make a valor check on him. It's going to be hard. He
Which
fails.
which guy are you talking about? I couldn't see your
This
thingy.
guy
Okay,
here,
gotcha.
he doesn't like the idea of Freddy getting dropped so quickly, and he just disappears into the woods, never
Take
to be
that.
seen again.
I let out a laugh. I'm really in pain because I just took a dagger to like my my left side.
Now these guys rush forward. This guy's going to attack you first.
Okay.
Over
I was
here.
waiting there, so
Okay.
I mean, this is this. There's no mechanical rule for what I'm telling Jeremy I'm doing outside of just cool role play, and he can do with it what he wants. Maybe an MD4 is the case, but my whole reason for running back here like this was to kind of wait in ambush. So I have my longsword already drawn, and as soon as I see him come around there, I'm going to counterattack and like stick him.
All right. Let me see if he's even aware of that. He's not aware of it. I'll give you a bonus.
Awesome.
So let's just give that like a +2, let's say.
Very cool. All right.
I don't usually do that, but like given the circumstance, let's just roll with it.
So that's what's cool about grit is it's very loose and rules light, and it gives the GM opportunities and creativity to do stuff like this depending on what the player has kind of cooked up. So awesome. So I'm going to get my D. This is a might roll, which is +1. He's giving me +2, so I'm going to get +3 here for this opposed roll.
And you have to beat a 1.
And I rolled a 12.
Ooh. Okay. You notice that this guy is more plump than the other ones.
Sure.
But you do so much damage because it's 14 actually with that +2.
Oh, I rolled a D12 +3.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, 12. Well, anyway, it's enough. He had 10 grit. So
got it.
You just drop this guy. What does it look like?
So, like I said, he was waiting behind there, and he was trembling with fear. He was like shivering, like, "Oh my god, what did I do? What did I do?" He hears like his friend is like, "There's something going on," but he's just waiting in the forest. This guy comes around, and he was actually trying to just run out to try to like see what was going on, and he ran into this goblin and stuck him right in the heart. And he's like trying to like wriggle his sword out and he pulls it out, and blood goes everywhere as this giant goblin falls down. And suddenly he gets this like burst of fear-induced energy that just kind of gives him a lot more confidence than before. Because again, he was just kind of freaking out. And he's like, "Oh, I've done it!" And you just hear a lot of commotion as this thing just falls over like a lump, and blood is just like like an artesian well kind of out of his body.
All right, so I'm going to roll a mighty D4 for this guy, see how he reacts to this. He is not happy that you just dropped his boss. He is rushing towards you and attacks you.
Nice.
And since you have no action to take or reaction,
this is just gonna happen to me.
Yep, he does nothing. He rolls a 2, which is 5 less than he needed.
So. I would imagine he is probably afraid as well.
Yeah, he's just kind of nervous. Like his nervous swing is like,
yeah, right. It just like took over.
But that is my turn. That's everybody. Actually, everybody has gone, and I am once again last to act. So you are next.
Now, this is a good thing, I think, to maybe mention to people. So the rule with last to act is it's the last person to take an action, not a reaction. So because my human here reacted, he would not have been last. I mean, we did see that this last goblin attacked me and took an action, but say he didn't. Say my reaction just killed that boss and that was the end of that. The GM would still not be allowed to go first because he was the last to have taken an action. Even though I was the last to do something, the reaction doesn't trigger that, so I would still be first to act in the next round.
And what that rule does is it stops it from a double up of, like taking the last action in a round and then taking the first action in a round. So you don't get that double up of that.
Right.
So.
Right, exactly. Okay, so this guy here, in the meantime, he sees that this guy has dropped his weapon, with that horrible roll he had the last time. He's going to clearly take advantage of that. He's going to this is all I'm just going to roll my longsword, but can I pick up his weapon? Or would you consider that an action for me to pick his weapon up?
Given the circumstances, probably yes.
Okay. Then
Because
instead of just picking, I'm just gonna pile drive down on top of his head with my longsword as I see him, drop his blade. I'm just gonna kind of like jump and like
he's going to be like, and he's going to just try to dodge your attack. He's not
got
going
it.
to try to. So he's making a reaction to dodge.
Okay. Okay, so this is might. So beat an 11.
Oh no!
Well, he does try to dodge, but
He
instead
does.
of me coming down with the pointy end first, I see him back up and I switch my stance and I slice instead, and I just kind of like split him right in half
Two
as I
parts
come
fly
down.
in the air and slump down
As I do that, I
flatly.
land on the ground and I look over at this guy here, and I hold my sword up to him like Wesley in The Princess Bride at the end when he's just like, draw your sword. He's just holding the sword pointing at him, even though he's got nothing left in his tank. But I do that to that guy. Like, I just killed Freddy. I just sliced Jenkins in half, and I'm coming for you now.
Oh, but he just angered by killing Freddy Jr. and
Oh, but sorry. So as I'm doing that, I'm gonna take my movement to slowly, as I'm holding my sword at him, and I'm just slowly walking towards him.
oh no.
And I kind of wink to the Wilderns in the cart, just like it's all good. They can't see me, of course, because I have this helmet on. But
All right.
oh, and this guy should be dead, right, Jeremy?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna go again, I think.
Okay.
So what this guy's gonna do, he's got these barrels right here. He's gonna pick one of them up and just chuck it at you.
Oh man. Okay. Again, I can't do anything. I'm just walking still.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll a might to see if he can actually pick this up,
Right.
and then I'll roll the prowess to have him throw it.
Sure.
Obviously, monsters have universal aspect values, so it's just one value I'm rolling with. But so first is the check to see if he can lift this thing, which he can't.
He's like,
So he's like, and so he like sees you menacingly walking towards him, and he
yeah,
just books. He just
yeah, runs
runs.
away. I'm still just like inching closer.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
This guy is still very angered that you dropped, the boss, and so
Right.
he's going to attack you with his dagger
His
over here.
boss and presumed lover. I'm going to counterattack him. I'm going to counterattack with my dagger. I'm going to like try to slice him in the throat with my dagger.
Nice. Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Beat a 4.
A 7. I'm going to roll. I'm
Oh,
going to throw a focus die on that. I'm going to throw my D8 focus die on that.
nice.
Okay, +1.
Ooh, okay. So what was the total?
So it's 8 total, so 4
8,
damage.
4. Yes, you slice him through his chest. He is still alive, falls to the ground and just kind of like clawing his way like away from you. Drops his weapon. He's just not in good shape.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna make a. You know what? I'm gonna walk towards him.
Yeah, he's gonna just use his movement to like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Get
you're
back
you're
here.
just following him.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I have this renewed sense of like, like vigor in me. Like I was this like lowly soldier who only joined because they told him they'd give him a pack of gum if he signed up, and now he's had to come on this thing, and he was like terrified. But now he killed the boss goblin, and now he's just feeling this like, oh, this valor I've got in me, and he's just like, get back here, you son of a gun, So
You will have
that
medals on your chest later.
right,
It'll be little goblins like little goblin heads in a coin, kind of thing.
yeah,
All right. So at this point, I'm gonna say, you've eliminated the bad guys, so it's more of an RP setup now. So you've
sure.
got that's basically the end of the round. So you could take your turn. I have no real turns to take.
For sure. Okay, I'm just gonna come over here and kind of like drop my sword on the ground because I feel like right now he kind of like needs to snap out of looking terrifying. he's trying to help
Right.
these poor guys. He like drops his sword, he drops the act, he takes his helmet off. He's like, "Hey, I'm here for you." You know, calm down. And he's like trying to he's like untying them, taking the stuff off their mouths, and he's
Yeah,
like, "You're free."
thank you for saving us. You're our hero.
Just my sworn duty. And he's feeling amazing. He's got so much bloodlust. He's feeling so good.
So they're gonna like dig around in their little wares that that the goblins had stolen from them, and give both of you guys some moonberry wine that will heal D4 grit.
Oh, beautiful.
You can take those with you on your travels.
Absolutely. I'll put those into my on my character sheet and my gear. Now, this is a good time to mention that when you get any kind of loot from the GM's just given me a couple things of moonberry wine. I can stow those into my gear slots, which I have 10 of. And your gear slots you can freely use. Everything is always equipped at all time. You don't have to ever take an action to equip something. For instance, I have a longsword and a dagger. I don't have to stow my longsword before I can use my dagger. If you saw when I used that soldier that killed the goblin in the forest, the boss goblin, I used my greatsword on him, and then the next attack I used my dagger. You're essentially are always equipped with your items. That switching hands and stuff happens in the background. It's not necessarily fun to take an action to switch things out. So Jeremy has
Right.
designed that you don't have to do that. You
Right.
can also freely give things to your friends.
That's a free action is what if you want to hand something off, it's a free action. There's
Right.
there's there's no like action taking from that. Maybe if you were to like throw it across the battleground or something,
Yeah, if we're in the
that
middle
could
of a
be
combat, that could be different. But if we're in
right.
RP right now, I could, Jeremy's probably going
Oh,
to
it'd just
assume
be
that I'm going to share one of the moonberry juices with my
right.
buddy.
So to close this out, how does this guy deal with this goblin? Because obviously he's not getting away.
Yeah, so he kind of walks up to him, and he kind of says, like, it looks like all of your partners have died. He's got this new voice to him. At the beginning of the thing, he was kind of like this little meek little guy, and now he's just like, you have finally learned what I've known my whole life, that crime does not pay. And as he says pay, he like stabs him with his greatsword and puts him out of his misery.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Ah, ah.
And then he, kind of rushes over and with a new sense of pride and you know, confidence, kind of rejoins his fellow soldier in arms and assists in freeing these two poor Wilderns who have been held against their will, captive by these horrible goblins.
Nice. I know it's funny, but I can picture you guys being hooked up to the cart as makeshift horses to kind of pull them into town.
We're like, ha, ha, here we go.
Yep,
And the
you're holding
Wilderns
the.
are like, on Dasher, on Dancer. And we're like, shut up.
So they load it up. They load up the barrels, put them in the cart, and then you guys make it into town safely. So well done, heroes.
Beautiful.
Yes, that was a good scenario.
That was fantastic. That's a great example of how a combat encounter works in Grit. I thought that was, we went through a lot of different potentialities that you could use, and
Right.
worked out really well. Sometimes it doesn't work out really well. Sometimes it works out the opposite, where that goblin boss rolls a 12 and I roll a 1. And now
Right.
suddenly with my soak, I'm down to 2 grit, and it's not looking so good. And you characters, while character death is not something that happens all the time, it definitely is an ever-present danger that you need to,
Right.
be aware of.
One thing I do want to mention here is that if you do get in a situation where the goblin rolls an 11 or 12 and you roll a 1 and you have a focus die to use, you could still, even knowing that you're going to lose that exchange, you could still reduce the damage with the focus die.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. That's a great idea.
So like, if you had a D6 or D8 left and, rolled a 4, you could reduce your damage by 4 even though you're still taking damage. So it's a way, just another way to use the focus die.
Absolutely. Without, yeah, and potentially without or saving yourself from character death. Although character death is something that while it does sound to a novice player or a new player, it sounds like something really bad, and it is. There are some really cool rules that Jeremy's put in here that happen when a character reaches 0 grit. You get 2 options. You can either go out in a blaze of glory, which is so cool, or you can
Right.
get a second chance and try to fight on a little longer. So that going out in a blaze of glory, you basically are essentially granted a D12 focus die that is a 12, and whatever you try to do hits at a 12, you know?
Right. Well,
um,
it's your aspect roll is considered a 12. Like
right.
your aspect roll is considered 12. And if you have a focus die, you can even add that at a no roll at its max value. So like, these humans, if they had a D10 left,
Yeah.
that'd be 12 plus 10, right?
Potentially 22 damage you could do at the end.
Plus your aspect. So yeah, it could be just a massive, thing. And it wouldn't have to be an attack. It could be some other cool kind of thing you do. But yeah, it just gives you that option of going out in a really cool, dramatic way.
Well,
So
sometimes it can be the difference between winning and losing a scenario. You know,
right,
you may be be fighting in the Iron Draconis, which is, the big bad in Grit. That's like the big bad monster, one of anyway.
right,
And, he's formidable and you may make it to him, but then you get to him and he takes you out. And so you could be in a situation where, yeah, he takes you out, but maybe you take him with you, thus saving your party from certain doom.
right. And
And
that
it's a really cool feeling for you. Like, yeah, you died and that kind of sucks, but you also got to win for your team.
and it's a really great opportunity for role play. And it also creates, if you have either an ongoing campaign or episode based gameplay, um, it creates this history, right? That the
Yeah.
other characters share and can talk about, which is cool.
Oh,
So
for sure. And that's
yeah,
actually something to note at the end of if you have the Grit Fantasy RPG core rulebook, the very one of the last pages, actually, it's on page 132, right after the character sheet, is Fallen Heroes. So these are characters that have play tested Grit Fantasy RPG that had some really cool character death that Jeremy decided it was worth mentioning in the book here.
right, right.
So that's a very cool thing.
I wanted
And
to I wanted to honor them. I
right.
I wanted to honor all of the characters that were part of it, but especially them because they went out in a cool way.
Yeah. So what a cool way to handle player elimination, which typically is not fun.
Right.
So that's a really cool way to handle. And again, it doesn't happen very frequently. It's not like you're
Yeah.
playing and you're going to die every time, but it certainly can because dice are random. You never know.
Right. It's part of the
Well,
fun.
that was
And
great.
yeah, it was. Yeah, thanks for running through that with me. And I hope we can do this again. I would like to do more. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, we should. We should get some other people in the mix too, and maybe we can run, we can run a full one
right.
shot.
Yeah, I think that would be really good to do. Like just show people full games and what that is, what that looks like.
Agreed.
Well, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for stopping by and watching this kind of combat tutorial. It was a good time. Thanks, Ryan, for joining in. And
Absolutely.
as always, happy gaming, guys. Take care of yourselves and roll those dice.